They say mining is about extraction, finding what's valuable, digging deep, taking everything you can carry, leaving the rest behind. The Australian mining billionaire I met understood extraction better than anyone, but what he extracted from me wasn't gold, wasn't diamonds, wasn't anything that came from the earth. It was something far more valuable. And by the time I realized what was happening, there was nothing left to take. This is my story, and I'm only telling it now because, well, because he can't stop me anymore. Before I go any further, let me be clear about something. This is a true story, but I'm not using my real name. I'm not telling you exactly where this happened, and I've changed certain details to protect, well, to protect myself. For the purposes of this story, you can call me Sarah. I'm 29 years old now. When this happened, I was 26. I'd been working as a high-end escort for about 3 years at that point, based in Sydney. Professional, selective. I had a strict vetting process, an agency I trusted, and boundaries I thought were unbreakable. I thought I'd seen everything: celebrities hiding from their wives, corporate executives with specific requirements, politicians who paid extra for discretion. But I'd never met anyone like Marcus. That's not his real name either, but it's close enough to who he was: hard, blunt, and completely unapologetic about taking what he wanted. He found me through my agency. The booking request was simple: 1 week, remote location, compensation that made my hands shake when I saw the number, 250,000 Australian dollars, for 1 week. I should have asked more questions. I didn't. The first time I met Marcus was at a private airstrip outside Sydney. No commercial flights, no security checkpoints, just a small jet with his company logo on the tail, and a pilot who didn't make eye contact. Marcus was waiting on the tarmac. Late 50s, tanned and weathered, like someone who'd spent decades under the Outback sun. Expensive watch, dirty boots. That combination told me everything. Old money pretending to be rough, or rough money pretending to be refined. "Sarah," he said. Not a question, a confirmation. "That's me," I replied, extending my hand. He shook it. His grip was crushing, deliberate. "You read the contract?" he asked. "Every word," I lied. I'd skimmed it. Legal jargon, NDAs, the usual. "Good, then you know the rules. 1 week, mine. Complete discretion. You do exactly what I say when I say it, no questions." Something about the way he said "my mine" made my stomach tighten. "And if I want to leave?" I asked. He smiled, not warmly. "Then you leave, but you forfeit the payment, all of it. And you're in breach of contract. My lawyers are thorough." I looked at the jet, then back at him. $250,000. "Where exactly are we going?" I asked. "North," he said. "Middle of nowhere. 6-hour flight. No phone signal once we land. Just you, me, and a few thousand acres of red dirt." Every instinct told me to walk away. Every instinct except the one that had been screaming about money for 3 years. I got on the plane. We flew north for hours, over Sydney, over endless stretches of nothing, red earth, scrubland, the occasional dirt road leading nowhere. Marcus sat across from me the entire flight, watching, not talking, just watching. Finally, we descended. The mine wasn't what I expected. It wasn't some corporate operation with workers and machinery. It was his personal claim. Hundreds of acres of land with a compound in the center, one main house, solar panels, water tanks, a few outbuildings I couldn't identify, and absolutely nothing else for miles in every direction. We landed on a dirt strip. The pilot didn't get out, didn't even turn off the engine, just waited while Marcus and I deplaned, then took off again immediately. "He'll be back in a week," Marcus said, watching the plane disappear into the sky. That's when it hit me. I was alone, completely alone, with a man I didn't know, in a place that didn't appear on any map. "Come on," he said, picking up my bag. "I'll show you around." The house was nice, surprisingly nice. Modern kitchen, comfortable furniture, air conditioning that worked miracles against the Outback heat. "Your room," he said, opening a door. It was simple, clean, a bed, a dresser, a window looking out at endless red dirt. "Bathroom's through there. Dinner's at 7. Don't be late." He left me alone. I tried my phone immediately. No signal. Not even emergency calls. I was completely cut off from the world, and I had no idea what he actually wanted from me. That first night, Marcus barely touched me. We had dinner, steak he'd cooked himself, wine from a cellar that seemed absurdly sophisticated for the middle of nowhere. He asked about my life, my real life, not the escort persona, the actual me, where I grew up, what I studied, why I started doing this work. I gave him the usual answers, half-truths designed to be intimate without being vulnerable. But he kept digging. That's not what I asked, he'd say. I asked why you really started. It was unsettling, like he could see through every layer of protection I'd built. After dinner, he took me outside. The stars in the Outback are different. No light pollution, just millions of stars scattered across a black canvas. Beautiful, isn't it? He said. It is, I admitted. This land has been here for millions of years, he said. Long before us, long after us. You know what I love about mining? I shook my head. It's honest, he said. You dig. You find something valuable, you take it. No pretense, no games, just extraction. He looked at me. That's what this week is about, Sarah. Extraction. I don't understand, I said. You will, he replied. Over the next 3 days, I began to understand what he meant. He didn't want sex. Or rather, sex was secondary. What he wanted was everything else. He wanted my stories, my fears, my dreams, the things I'd never told anyone. He'd ask questions, seemingly casual, and then hours later, circle back to inconsistencies. Push harder, dig deeper. You said your father left when you were 12, he'd say. But earlier, you said 13. Which was it? You said you started this work for money, but you also said you had a degree and a good job. Why did you really start? It was psychological excavation. And the worst part, I started answering honestly. I don't know why. Maybe it was the isolation. Maybe it was the way he listened, really listened, without judgment. Or maybe it was something darker. Maybe I'd been performing for so long that someone asking for the real me felt intoxicating. By day 4, I told him things I'd never told anyone. About my childhood, my first love, the abortion I had at 19, the guilt that still kept me awake, and he absorbed it all, like he was mining me for something precious. Thank you, he'd say after each confession, like I'd given him a gift. And then, on the 5th night, everything changed. On the 5th night, Marcus took me to one of the outbuildings I hadn't been inside. I want to show you something, he said. Inside was an office, but not a normal office. The walls were covered in photographs, dozens of them, women, all different, all around my age, and beneath each photo, handwritten notes, dates, names, details. Who are they? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Women like you, he said simply, women I have gotten to know. How many? I asked. Your number 43? My blood went cold. What do you do with... I couldn't finish the question. He walked to a filing cabinet and pulled out a folder, opened it. Inside were pages and pages of notes, transcripts, almost, of conversations, confessions, secrets. I collect stories, he said. Real stories, the kind people only tell when they think no one's listening, when they're isolated, vulnerable, honest. You're documenting us, I said, like specimens. I prefer to think of it as preservation, he said. These stories, your stories, they're valuable, more valuable than anything I've ever pulled from the ground. Why? I asked. He looked at me with something that might have been sadness. Because I can't feel anything anymore, he said quietly. I've had everything money can buy, every experience, every luxury, and none of it means anything. But these stories, your pain, your joy, your truth, for a moment, when I'm collecting them, I feel something real. We're not your fucking therapy, I said, anger replacing fear. No, he agreed. You're much more valuable than that. You're my collection, my archive of humanity. I want to leave, I said. 2 more days, he said. Fulfill the contract, then you'll get your money and never hear from me again. And if I leave now, then you get nothing, and I release every story you've told me, every secret, To whoever would find it most interesting, he had me, and he knew it. I stayed the final 2 days, not because I wanted to, but because the alternative was worse. He extracted everything from me, every story, every secret, every piece of myself I'd kept hidden, and he wrote it all down, catalogued it, filed it away with the others. On the 7th day, the plane came back. Marcus handed me an envelope. Your payment, he said, plus a little extra for your thoroughness. I didn't count it. I just wanted to leave. As I boarded the plane, he called out one last thing. Thank you, Sarah. You helped me feel human again. I didn't respond. The flight back to Sydney was the longest 6 hours of my life. When I landed, I checked the envelope. $275,000 extra, just like he said. I quit escorting 2 weeks later. The money let me start over. New city, new career, new life. But I still think about those walls covered in photographs. 42 other women before me, probably dozens more after. All of us thinking we were in control. All of us thinking we were the ones being paid. But Marcus taught me something about extraction that I'll never forget. The most valuable things you can take from someone aren't physical. They're the pieces of themselves they didn't know they were giving away, until it's too late to get them back. I'm telling this story now, 5 years later, because I need to, not for closure, not for revenge, but because somewhere out there might be another woman, getting an offer she can't refuse, from a man who seems too good to be true. And maybe, if she hears this, she'll ask the right questions. She'll wonder what he's really extracting, and she'll walk away before he takes something she can never get back. My name isn't Sarah. His name isn't Marcus. But everything else, every word of this, true. And that's the most terrifying part of all.